My dear students, we are discussing about the management and organizational behavior. In the last video, we discussed about the consequences of the conflicts. So now we will discuss about how to use strategies to resolve conflicts. Okay. Strategies used to resolve conflicts. A conflict is a mutually opposing situation that exists between two or more parties due to the perceived differences of values. So perceived differences means what? One person taking some different meaning of what the other person is saying or thinking. So when we assume things, what happens? There may be some differences. So conflicts have a negative impact on the overall efficiency of the organization. So some strategies we have to use to manage these conflicts. First one is physical separation. So the likelihood of enmity and aggression can be reduced by physically separating the conflicting parties. So keep them in different office or different departments so that they don't meet each other. And this strategy works if the parties are not required to interact with each other while accomplishing the organizational targets. So not everybody can be separated. Sometimes they will be in a single team and we have to be together. We have to make them be together. So we have to make sure that it is not at all required for them to work together. Then we can separate them. Even though when they are separated, they tend to indulge in sabotage and occasional acts of aggression. Even if you separate, sometimes what happens? They will meet and they'll fight and they will use some words. So that will cause some discomfort in the organization. So this will be continued if the source of the conflict exists in the situation. Second one is ignoring the conflict. So if the conflict is not serious, managers ignore it by considering that the conflicts may bring bad reputation to the firm. Due to this incapability of determining the sources of conflict on time, the situation may become worse. So sometimes you can ignore so that it may subside, but sometimes it may lead to problem in future. Third one is withdrawal from the conflict. So a smooth way of conflict resolution is to withdraw oneself from the source of the conflict or from maintaining the relationship with the opposing group. Okay, you have a conflict, you have a difference of opinion, you're fighting. So they have to make sure that why you should go into such a unfavorable condition. Withdraw yourself from that person or from that conflict and go ahead, move on. Next is dominance. So the easiest strategy to end a conflict is to eliminate and conquer the other group. So how do you do that? Forcing them to agree with the viewpoints of the enforcers or for the conquerors. So what happens is you take over and make sure that they listen to you or they come with you. So quite often managers use this authority to fire the troublemaking employee, thus ending the conflict. So if there is one person who is making a big issue, then what they will do? They will take lead and they will make sure that that person is removed from that organization so that others don't get brainwashed or get influenced by him. So this is very, very important. Then compromise. This is the best solution. So you have to talk to the opposite person who is creating conflict, talk to them and compromise so that both the parties will be happy. Then identifying a common enemy. So by identifying and working with a common enemy, what happened? The conflicts can be temporarily resolved. Then this has been proved because many places we have seen that the common enemy is found and then you resolve this so that you will not have further problems. Then procedural and structural changes. So sometimes improper organizational structure or procedures may lead to organizational conflicts. So thus to resolve them, a few structural changes have to be implemented. For example, in some organizations, the sales and the distribution departments are required to report to a single senior manager instead of two different managers. So this way, structural changes will help you to resolve the conflicts. Then super-ordinated goals. So a superordinate goals is a common goal whose accomplishment demands the cooperation from all the parties in the organization. So it cannot be independently achieved by a single party. So such goals force the various departments to resolve their differences and work towards the attainment of the goals. Next, coming to integrated problem solving. So this approach requires both the parties to come together to define and make mutual decision about the problem. So they have to come together. People should be willing to resolve. Only then we can resolve. So both the groups freely exchange the ideas and identify the goals which are mutually acceptable to both the parties. So if there are some difference of opinions, talk to them and then come to a common idea, so that it is effective for resolving the conflicts arising due to misunderstanding or conflict due to different languages also. Then coming to member relations. What is member relations? So a conventional method of conflict resolution is to exchange people between the different departments, wherein the newly entered employee of the department is allowed to exchange his views about the consequences. So the other person coming and asking this person, then they will be able to express it freely, and they can also understand what is happening. So this helps in understanding the perspective of others and reducing the misunderstanding, thus enabling them to resolve the conflict. Then appeal procedure. An easy way of conflict resolution is to take the matter to a higher authority. Go to a higher authority, talk to them, and the decision of the higher authority will be final and is agreed by both the parties. That time they can't do anything. And the third party, mediator, that is liaison group. So another approach of conflict resolution is to appoint a neutral person and a full-time third-party integrator who would use its expertise to enable both parties arrive at a mutually agreeable and acceptable solution. So then reduce interdependence. So as all the departments are making use of the same set of scarce resources, they are found to be interdependent on each other. So such interdependence, a source of conflict, can be reduced to a greater extent by providing them with decoupled resources. So one person need not go to the other department to interact. So that way you can avoid them talking to each other and also resolve these conflicts. So there are so many strategies which we can follow, the managers can follow to resolve the conflict, so that they can focus and get the work done from the employees, as well as they can achieve or reach the goals of the organization. So thank you so much and God bless.